Good afternoon and welcome to M.M.E. I'm your host, Blind Prime. For today, I'll be standing because this is a big one I'm going to be talking about to you. What am I talking to you about today? Well, I'm talking to you about the 1989 Batmobile. Yeah, the Batmobile. The big Batmobile. The Batmobile that we all remember from our childhood. The Batmobile that the only negative thing about it that I can say, other than the fact that it doesn't have these spin out weapons, is that it doesn't become a motorcycle to go between alleys, like the Batmobile did in the movie. That thing was cool. So this thing is cool. This thing is pretty big too. It's a massive thing, and of course, it's a Batmobile from before the Batman and Robin days. I've got it on a turntable, so we can do a nice little spin. Ooh, spin, spin. Do you like this spin? I like this spin. It's kind of fun. All right. So this Batmobile is very sleek. It's very clean. It's got a glossy finish all over it. I know not everybody wants the glossy finish for a Batmobile. Many people are like, I want my Batmobile to be flat black and hide in the shadows. I don't want anybody to see it when I come in. I rolled a stealth check for it and I got a 27. So good luck seeing my Batmobile when you enter my home. Ha ha! I made myself laugh. Now you do have a button here we can press. So I like the glossiness. It makes it feel really special and nice. But if you feel on the middle bar here that goes down the very center from the front of this weird doohickey, and I don't know if you can see that with the camera angle, but that's pretty cool. We got this button we can press. Press the button. And you can find the button by just dragging your finger across this raised line in the center, and you'll find that there's one that has two cuts on either, cut on either end, and then that can be pushed down. And it pops this thing up. Now this canopy does two things. You can bring it forward a little bit, and then you can raise it up to reveal Stan Lee. What do you got with you, Stan Lee? We talked about this in the shorts. He's got himself a Hot Wheels version of the 1989 Batmobile, which I consider, since Stan Lee is a 1/6 scale character, and this is pretty large in his hands, I was like, you know what? Stan Lee's a 1/12 scale character, sorry. I was like, you know what? This is a 1/6 scale Batmobile then, according to Stan Lee, with the sizes going on here. But Stan Lee fits in there nice and snug. We got himself the Batmobile. He can sit in his lap, yeah. Cover up his face a little bit, but you know how it is when you get swag. You can actually park it over here on the side, just have it hanging out. I just think it's so funny to have that. The steering wheel does not turn in here, which is sad. The Bratz Rock Angel steering wheel turn. Actually, the steering wheel looks okay, but it's got plenty of extra space on either side of the seat for accessories. We've got a Hot Wheels car on one side. We've got this shield on the other. Now that I pulled the shield out, let's look. There it goes, back in there. Now, what else you got on this side, huh, Stan? What do you got? Nothing? So just put that one back over there. So, there we go. And he's got his favorite con things that he picked up from the con. Yeah, the way, I was just joking around with my friends. I'm like, yeah, it's Stan Lee. He's coming back from the convention. He got himself a signed Captain America shield. He got himself a giant Batmobile for his 1/6 scale McFarlin collection. And, he got the real life Batmobile too, so he could have something to drive away from the con in. Because who's gone to a convention and not seen this Batmobile? I've seen this Batmobile before I lost my eyes at MegaCon. I've touched this Batmobile before. That's one of the things I'm liking about this. It's something that I've actually seen and felt in real life, like the real version of. And, so having one here is really cool. Now, to finish up, we can close down this canopy, and it will slide forwards all the way, but you can also slide it back. So this thing can slide forwards and just be like in the movie, or you can have it pick up so you can actually get in there and do some more stuff if you want. I think that's really cool that you have two options, and it snaps down very neat and tidy. Now let's do a little bit of comparison. So I'm going to remove this turntable. You know what? Just for those of us who, for those of my viewers who can see, let's give them one last spin, okay? Ooh, look at that! Oh yeah! Look at the beauty of the Batmobile. Behold! All right, let's go ahead and move the Lazy Susan from down here. Let's set those things back down. There we go. Up. Oh, Lazy Susan, I'm going to set you on top of something else I'm going to be doing size comparisons with. Lazy Susan stored under the table. Now, let's drive in another Batmobile. We've got McFarlane's 1960s Batmobile, the Adam West Mobile, and here we go. The Adam West Mobile beside the Batmobile. Now, interestingly enough, even though this Adam West Mobile is not as large as the Batmobile, it can hold more characters because it's a two-seater. You know, this is, I like to think of it as this your 60 scale Batmobile is Batman in his 20s. You know, he's just got out of college. He's got himself some disposable income, and he went and got himself a convertible to ride around with his friend the Joker. And then when he gets older, you know, he's tired of all that nonsense. He wants to protect himself a bit more because he's had too many flip overs with this car, and he's hurt his head. So he gets himself a nice little, you know, complete canopy where he can be protected and nothing can really hurt him anymore. You know, and then he gets a kid and he has to throw away this Batmobile to get another two-seater. Isn't that the truth? You know, I like to think of that. Like, about the time you get enough money to get a nice sports car that's just for you and your own, you get kids, and then you got to get rid of the sports car. So, a little comparison with these guys. So, the 60s Batmobile, we're going to put them bumper to bumper, you know, rear bumper to rear bumper, and we get that the 60s Batmobile ends before the front tire even begins on the 89 Batmobile. So, the 80s Batmobile is a different beast. Now, let's see if they're the same width. Let's take a look. Since the front of this Batmobile is so wide and flat, we can actually do this very well. We can just do it with the rear wheels. There we go. And there we go. We get that the McFarlin, the Flash 89 Batmobile is so much wider than this little boat thing, this Cadillac of a Batmobile. It's so tiny. Let's set this off to the side. There is something I have that's about the same length as this Batmobile. And I'm also wanted to mention that this Batmobile, this McFarlane Batmobile, should be, and I'm not 100% on this now, you know, so be careful before quoting me, but I'll say I'm 80% sure that this is going to be the length of the His Tank. We already know the His Tank's going to be about 11 inches tall. So for an idea, we've got a Lego pad right here. Lego pad is actually 10.1 inches tall. So if you put this Lego pad down, then you get the understanding that His Tank's supposed to be taller than this Lego pad. Just an FYI, in case y'all are wondering. That's the difference in the heights for those things. Now let's pull up one more item. We're going to move the Batmobile closer to you. I hope that everything's in shot. I really do. Move around and look at autofocus. There's the Batmobile. Good autofocus. Now let's come over here and grab something to size comparison with. Oh, we've got the Wrecking Truck from Mattel. The WWE Wrecking Truck. Now this truck isn't as long as the Batmobile. If we put the front bumper of the truck against the back bumper of the Batmobile, we get that the back bumper of the truck goes to the front of the front wheel of the Batmobile. So that's a comparison there. Now, this vehicle here is, let's see, are you the same width? Yeah, okay, so these two vehicles are the same width though. That's something important to remember, that this crazy wrecking truck, crane truck thing that you can get from the Mattel WWE collection, comes with the cool wrecking ball, as it is the same width as the Batmobile, but the Batmobile is just slightly longer. Now I do say that you can do more with this truck because of the cool crane. I do love the crane. That crane is a lot of fun. You can hang Truckmaster above the Batmobile. That's kind of funny. All right, let's put this guy off to the side and finish talking about the Batmobile. Let's set this guy down. All right. There we go. And let's get out my regular pad now that we've had our fun. And let's pick up the Batmobile. Make sure that you pick the Batmobile up from its center of mass. It's just easier that way. We're just going to slide this guy into place. There we go. There we go. That's all nice and wonderful. And you know what? I think with all this movement and stuff, I may have lost my S Pen. Oh, I found my S Pen. Yay! Okay, cool. So we can continue. Let's see. Do we line everything up? I don't think we lined everything Where's that? Ooh, we definitely didn't line anything up. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop. There. All right. Now we can finish talking about the Batmobile, and I can go ahead and sit down. That was fun. All right. So, the Batmobile here. Oh, that lazy Susan was in the way. The Batmobile here is just, it's a beast. It doesn't take much to put it together. When you get this Batmobile, you're going to get the two little wing things that go on the ends of the car, and they're pretty self-evident on how to plug them in. You can't plug them in wrong. They each have a different, series to them. Now, sculpt-wise, this Batmobile is just winning it out. We've got sculpt here of the rear lights. He's got his reverse lights, his stop lights. He's got this huge. Probably doesn't need a reverse. I bet you both of those are red. It's got this huge intake, the exterior for the jet. It would have been cool if McFarlin had thrown us in a blast effect, but he opened it up wide enough that you can actually include some of the Transformers larger blast effects, like the ones that came with, with Jetfire, Skyfire. Those blast effects could work very well in that. You can do quite a few things with it. And it's pretty cool. Now, I wanted to also comment that below this Batmobile, I'm trying to get it to show you without ruining what's inside. All right, so in the middle here, we've got this round circle thing that I wanted to mention. This is, in all Batman caves, there's a turntable, like I was just playing with the Lazy Susan. I think that that's what this is for. It's a locking circle so that you can put the turntable, and it's actually got little grooves cut into the interior. So if you did have a little turntable, it would lock down into this underside of the car, and you could just spin the car. I just wanted to mention that. I don't think anybody else has talked about the underside of this thing and how cool it is. I mean, they didn't give much detail to the underside, but that locking circle is very interesting, and it makes me wonder, do they have more plans in the future for more vehicles, or even a base to keep them in? Now, McFarlin has done a Batcave, but it was the 60s Batcave, so it wasn't really a Batcave, it was just a bunch of cool accessories. And then finally down here, we've got the crazy giant outtake for the jet engine. So let's talk about more on the texture side with this. I do love the vents on the side. Now, we got with the, pop this up, we got the Hot Wheels car here. Now, interestingly enough, the Hot Wheels car, the vents are there on the Hot Wheels car, but here, these are much bigger. Now, he's got, if you never knew, he's got these two big vents that are right in front of the rear wheels. Like the rear wheels, you go a bit, actually, you go about the length of a Hot Wheels car from the rear wheels, and you get these vents that are at a 45-degree angle sitting out of the car. Now there is some good vent action going on in there. They got some good textures for that, and how big and wide it is. And you got to think, when this thing's actually moving and that jet engine's going, it's got to take in a lot of air to keep it cool. So that is just a massive air intake, and there's an exact duplicate on the other side. Furthermore, in front of that air intake is a little port there. There's a little hole port, and that is where the grappling hooks go. Like in the movie, whenever he had to turn corners quickly, he'd shoot a grappling hook out, and it'd grab something and help turn him. These are the spots. They actually left them open for holes. There's holes there. So if you can find something that looks like the grappling hooks from the movie, you can put them in yourself. And also, you could possibly attach them to a chain or a string or something like that. So that's really cool. I think that's awesome. And it was an attention to detail. I wish they had put something in there, but at the same time, I'm glad they at least gave us the option to customize it ourselves by giving us that hole already pre-built in. So it would make it much easier for customization. And then we have these cool pipes and stuff over here beside it. It's got all these ejection pipes and other crazy awesome sci-fi pipage. Come over here to the front wheel. He's got a Batman signal on each symbol on each of the wheels, but they did not line them up. They didn't line them up at all. So all the Batman symbols are slightly off from one another, and that's a shame. If they had given us some pegged wheels, we could have actually unpegged it and put it back and make sure the Batman symbol's correct. But instead, these wheels are connected on a metal bar that runs the entire length of the vehicle, so you can't really be taking anything out. finally, let's talk about the interior. So let's go ahead and pull out. Hey, let's get your hand off the wheel. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Come on, Stanley. Stand. Come on. Come on. Up. There you go. And bend your knees here. You can sit right here and relax. Okay, so inside this vehicle, set the shield over here beside Stan. Where's the little Batmobile? He can put that over there with himself. After all, that's his con swag. All right, now let's turn this thing up on its side. So inside this this cockpit, we've got a very nicely textured seat. And I wouldn't say nicely textured seat. It kind of feels like the rest of it. They didn't give it the extra little oomph of texture, but they did make it a seat with, you know, textures for a seat. It's sculpted for a seat, I should say. It doesn't have the textures of a seat. It's sculpted for a seat. And on each side, this thing's massively open. You got plenty of space to store all the accessories that Batman would come with. Sadly, there's no sort of weapons rack action going on in there. You just kind of throw it in and pray. The steering wheel is all right. It's got plenty of dials and doohickeys on the dashboard that you can feel. Everything is just etched out, sculpted out, molded to oblivion. And you put your hand in here, you get no pedals. They did not give us pedals. I was joking with my friend, my roommate, who actually, you know, owns this Batmobile. I was like, "Where are the pedals?" And he went, "What?" You'd be surprised how many vehicles that are in the 1/12 scale that if you can get your hands in there and feel on the floorboard, you will find pedals. And it's so weird, but at the same time, it's understandable. You know, it's a visual cue to help people whenever they're building it at the factory. Okay, well, the pedals obviously go around the driver's seat, so it helps them out. But it also helps you out if you can feel in there. But sadly, McFarlin did not do that this time. There are no pedals down there, which is weird, I'll admit. Now, there's not much more going on with the cockpit here. We can close that up. On the front of the vehicle, we have the massive intake. You know, we've got the front of the vehicle look going on here. That thing that we know from all the Batman stuff. You know, we have seen the front of this vehicle a lot. At least if you're my age, you remember this crazy spinny turbine thing in the front. That is another thing I wish they had done. I wish they had made this a spinny thing, so you could just grab the end and spin it. That would have been, you know, it wouldn't have really done much for the vehicle, but it still would have been a cool thing to add. But I think I've talked your ear off long enough today about the McFarlin Batmobile. I do suggest picking it up. It is an excellent vehicle if you can find it on the shelf. The scalpers have taken this one and run with it, people. So it is my suggestion to you that if you have FOMO, fear of missing out, then you need to pick this up whenever you see it. You know, drop everything you're doing. If you see it on a shelf at a Walmart or a Target or something, and you're just walking by, you're going to pick up some milk, you know, you're on a milk run, and you happen to walk by the toy section to take a look, you're buying that Batmobile. Because if you don't, it's not going to be there next time you get back to Walmart. So bring your credit cards with you whenever you go shopping until you manage to pick one of these up if you want one. Because when you see it in the wild, you pick it up when you see it in the wild. Because the chances of you seeing it in the wild twice are pretty low with this one. This is a major collector's item, and this is something that will fly off the shelves. Thank you for watching today's video. I highly recommend this. My scaling for this thing is I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because I wish it had more. I do wish it had some like little spinny thing in the front, like I talked about, maybe some grappling hooks action on the side, just a little more. Oh, but this thing would have gotten an 11 or a 12 out of 10 if you pressed a button and the entire canopy in the middle of the vehicle shot out from the rest of the vehicle and became a motorcycle. Ooh, yeah, that would have done it. That would have done it for me and made me rank this thing as one of the greatest 1/12 scale vehicles ever made, but it's nearly so. It's nearly so. Oh, and I forgot to mention rubber tires. I love the rubber tires. McFarlin, you're doing good. You're doing good with these rubber tires, man. Keep at it. Don't fall into the Mattel trap and start giving us trashy plastic tires. We don't want that. We want our rubber. Till next time. Bye-bye for now.